Those mallards are complaining a little bit that I came disturbing the peace here. But anyway, this isn't gonna be the cleanest kayak after this trip, but I'm having a creek paddling experience. Seems to work. So this creek alone, even with all the hassle, was well worth coming here. You know, this whole paddle is going to be unpredictable. Let's see if I get past this one. No issues here specifically, given the fact that this is actually listed as a canoe paddling pathway. I think my chances are decent. And if it should be problematic, I suppose I would have to turn back before the water really starts increasing into current, and that's not going to happen until I'm much further south. I will go past the lake and then head back to some river paddling. Tjena, här är det risk att fånga riktigt ful fisk alltså. Alright, so I would contend that this is perhaps not the best smelling water. But I'll be out on lake water soon, and that should improve. It's not terrible, but you can definitely feel the smell here. Alright, so I decided on going out today relatively late, meaning early afternoon, and I started traveling at just in the afternoon, so that means in practice that it's likely, since I'll probably have to do a few carries, that I will end this trip after sunset. So as I always say, by habit, it's really useful to have that headlamp along, and I usually do, because there are so many paddles where I didn't intend to paddle in the dark, but then I had good reason to prolong my paddle, or I changed late stage to a different location. Maybe a friend called me and wanted to paddle while I was already on the way, or I decided on a different route, or I simply got delayed for whatever reason. So there have been many times where I end up paddling in the dark, whereas the original plan was that that wouldn't be at all likely or probable. So you never know, and I typically have a headlamp along, and that always helps a lot. So even if maybe the paddling trip itself doesn't end in darkness, oftentimes, like my most recent paddle, it will be getting relatively or quite semi-dark at the end of the paddle, and then during the final step of packing up gear and packing down the kayak and whatever, then it will be completely dark, and that was the case then. So let's be quiet for a moment and just enjoy the ambience. So it appears I have to carry my kayak here. It's clearly marked. Alright, I think that should keep my kayak for now. Alright, so the current isn't very strong. And this is where I'm supposed to get down. It's not far. So, depends on how dirty the water is. I'm thinking it's possible that I could just walk my kayak down. I'll have to decide when I get back there. The thing is, carrying the kayak itself on your shoulders isn't a problem. I mean, on one shoulder, when it's light like this, especially this is a 14.5 kilograms kayak, it just becomes more messy when you have stuff in the kayak that's likely to fall out to the side. So if a carry can be avoided, that's always preferable. Of course, in this case, I can actually drag it for quite a distance on the grass and kind of get past that issue. So I suppose, well, yeah, the water quality isn't great, so I think I'll just drag it here on the grass a bit. Alright, so continuing onward. And I'll try to get down here, not to get my feet dirty in this rather muddy water. And that worked. So we're back paddling. And I would say I'm maybe half an hour behind schedule. So once I get out on the lake, I want to pick up pace a bit. Not here though, because it's actually really shallow. That kind of answers the water level question. It's definitely shallow here. Let's hope that it gets deeper again. I might have to wait here after all. Yeah, I'm not gonna risk my kayak. I'm gonna go wading in the water for a bit. Alright, so it's too shallow and there's some sharp stuff in the water, rocks and branches and stuff, so I'm not gonna risk this. Now that I walk here, I see that this is absolutely the right decision. It wouldn't have been possible to kayak there, as my body weight is weighing the kayak down too much. Alright, from here on out though, there's a chance. So much for not getting my feet in the muddy water, but I give it a shot. Alright, given how warm it's still out and how warm it is in the water, no issue with waiting around. If it were a month later, I would want to have dry pants or a dry suit doing that. But right now, I'm still able to wade around, and in the river, which I might have too actually over here. By the looks of it, you can see the water levels changing. Let's see if I get past. And I went aground immediately. There is no evading the waiting. So basically there are some levels of this, for example, right here could be paddled, but up there is another spot where it's not going to be possible again. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get past this shallow water and get back to some creek paddling without waiting. A paddle leash comes in handy in these situations, I find, to manage the kayak and keep it with you, whereas in fast moving water it's a risk. You could get entangled and it's really dangerous. So that's not something to be used in fast moving water, including high energy sea kayaking perhaps. But in these conditions it's tremendously helpful. Alright, so definitely gonna be a bit more challenging this paddle in terms of some creek logistics, but it's been a while since I did that, and this is, I mean, this is easy. It's just some adjustments here and there, so it's actually kind of fun to be doing that again. Let's just hope that this height level here is going to be something I can pass and that I don't have to wait again. Looks like maybe I have to. Oh yeah, I might have to. Then again, the low water levels means that I'm not having a lot of current. If the water levels were high, it would be a lot more high energy here, and then I might not be using this kayak. And if it's too fast, you know, I would have to take safety precautions or choose to paddle somewhere else. Yes, there's simply a lot of obstacles here. So of course the leash and my paddle and holding my kayak like this will only work as long as the leash doesn't break. So you don't want to be doing that if there's a lot of force onto the kayak. In this case there isn't, but otherwise, you know, it would be less than nice to see your kayak floating away. Oh. Now it's kind of it actually got deep enough there that it was better to walk along the edge of the creek here. so I don't step into some really deep hole and get mud all over everything. Alright, so this is not really an advertisement for portable kayaking with the trouble I'm going through. Or it is, because I'm having fun. But it's not all gonna be easy, you know? Alright, so it's shifting between too deep and way too shallow. And I just have a tiny stretch left before I get out to the lake. So I'm hoping I'll be able to navigate out here without getting stuck, or I might have to really bathe in this water. Seems to work. There were a lot of rocks there that really impeded my progress. So now I'm a little bit late as per schedule. I'll have to simply increase speed on the lake, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to paddle the final stretch here without having to get out again. Because by now I've actually waded quite a few times, but it's been fun actually, because I enjoy a challenge, and this reminds me of one of my first paddles ever outside of Stockholm County. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can somehow find a path through the rocks here that isn't too shallow. Maybe not, or maybe, who knows. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait again. Yes, there are rocks under the kayak. I don't want to be damaging it, and it seems unlikely that I'll get past. But this is the final stretch of water here before I get out to the lake. And as I was saying, this reminds me of one of my first paddles outside of Stockholm County when I was new to kayaking, and that was quite an adventure. I went wading as well in a creek north of Västerås, a nearby city, also on the Lake Mälaren, which is Sweden's third largest lake. And over there it was much tougher because I had to carry my kayak quite a bit on land, some stretches. And then I also had a beaver, well, which appeared and swam next to me for a while, which was nice, but it had built a dam that I had to climb through. So I was actually climbing between two tree trunks, or two trees, and then pushing my kayak below one of them, underneath one of them, and I was just hoping that I wouldn't have to make the 911 call or 112 call, yelling, "Hey, this is embarrassing, but I'm stuck lying between two trees. Come help." Sorry guys for disturbing the peace. Alright, so yeah, the water levels are low, which probably means that I might have trouble further ahead when I get to the other river. So I'll have to decide whether I get up on land early or whether I attempt to do what I'm doing here. I might not be able to paddle the full stretch. but in all cases this should be fun. Alright, those mallards are complaining a little bit that I came disturbing the peace here, but anyway, this isn't gonna be the cleanest kayak after this trip or the cleanest paddling shoes, but I'm having a creek paddling experience that is fun. I'm seeing new places that I haven't seen before, and this kind of feels a bit more rural, if you will. So this creek alone, even with all the hassle, was well worth coming here. The thing is that in Stockholm, around Stockholm, in Stockholm County, we do have some creeks and small rivers, but no whitewater really, or extremely short stretches, if you can even call it class 1 whitewater. And we have a rather few creeks actually, which is a bit of a pity because we have so many great forest areas. So while we have some amazing lakes and an absolutely amazing archipelago, I often note that it's a pity that we don't have whitewater really in Stockholm or near Stockholm, and not a lot of creeks. So whenever I find a new one, and this is just outside of Stockholm County, in the next county, so then that's nice. I had wanted to paddle this for a long time, and now I got to. Well, I got to walk or wade through some of it. But it was well worth it. And some of these areas here, with the light on the trees shining through the openings of the forest, this probably won't show on camera, but it's, you know, there's a really nice ambience here. Alright, here's some deep stopper again. Let's hope, yeah, I got through. I got through there. Alright, I am paddling again. I was waiting for so long that I stopped taking paddleable waters for granted, if you will. But I mean, I can definitely say that coming all the way here, it took me more than an hour and a half by train, and I had to switch trains, or commuter trains, 2 times. But even so, I mean, experiencing this creek was absolutely worth it. And this is just the first part of my paddle. So over there, you can see as it opens up, that's going to be a lake where I'm gonna paddle for a lot. Maybe an hour and a half or so. I'm gonna miss the creek paddle. Oh, here they have another carry spot, which leads me to wonder, is it not possible to go through the reeds? Or was there something else that was supposed to be blocking me over there? I'll check and see. But anyway, this was well worth it. Well, I mean, I can see open water over there. It's not impossible that I can get through. It's also possible that I can get stuck. I actually see enough daylight that this looks very promising. Yeah, I can get through here. Haha. I have no idea why there was a sign there to bring the kayak or canoe up. That's just weird. All right. Yeah. So this is the lake I'm talking about. I have a lot of paddling to do, but this was fun. I mean, this was well worth it. And this lake, actually, I thought it would be kind of boring just to paddle lake water. But looking at it in this light, it's actually quite nice. It looks really beautiful. So I'm gonna enjoy this. All right, so at least I get to wash off my kayak here. There was a lot of less than clean creek water. So I'm gonna cross the lake here to the other side. Or actually, I'm not gonna cross the lake yet, because I want to check out that island. That looks really nice with the vegetation there. And it's a weird looking island, and there's another one further ahead there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe in order to stay updated on new videos and help others find information on this channel. Happy paddles!